This is Unit 3, Linear Relationships, Lesson 6, More Linear Relationships, and Activity 2, Slopes, Vertical Intercepts, and Graphs. And in this activity, there are 6 graphs that go with 6 stories, and you're supposed to figure out which one matches which. So which graph matches which story. And so what I did in each case is I worked with the graphs first to figure out the slope and the equation. So this is the first graph, and the slope of this line here is equal to the number of units in the vertical direction over the number of units in the horizontal direction. So if I move this slope triangle right down against the y-axis, the number of units in the vertical direction is going to be this point right here, y minus 10 units. So you have to take away this 10 units. So this is going to be the y and x values of the left side of the equation. So this is going to be y minus 10 over the number of units in the horizontal direction is just x. And that's because you've moved this next to the y-axis. And so if you go x units in the horizontal direction, for example, this is x equals 1, that length, or that number of units, is 1 unit. So this is y minus 10 over 1. And the slope is equal to the number of units in the vertical direction, which is 5 units in this case. It's 15 minus that 10 is 5. And the number of units in the horizontal direction is just the coordinate, the x coordinate, which is 1. So 5 over 1 is 5. So the equation is y minus 10 over x equals 5. Well, what that tells you is that the number of units, that y minus 10, the number of units in the vertical direction, is 5 times greater than the number of units in the horizontal direction, than x. So y minus 10 is 5 times greater than x. So y minus 10 is 5 times the number of units of x, or 5 times greater than x. So y minus 10 is equal to 5 times x, or 5x. Well, if you subtract this 10 units here, you have to add those 10 units back. So add the 10 units back, so y is equal to 5x plus 10. All right, so what does this mean in the context of this story? So the slope is 5, and it crosses this y-axis, and that's called the vertical intercept, or the y-intercept. It crosses the y-axis at 10 units. So what does that mean within the story? But first, what I want to show you is that you don't have to have the slope triangle right up against the y-axis. And it's good to practice writing the equation where it's not against the y-axis. So let's do that just one time. So let's say I use this as the slope triangle. So this is moved out 3 units, and it's moved up 25 units. So the left side of the equation over here, it's y minus 25, so you have to subtract this 25 units, y minus 25 over, and the number of units in the horizontal direction is going to be this x, number of x units minus 3. So this x coordinate minus 3, you have to take away this 3. So it's y minus 25 over x minus 3. Well, what does that equal? That's going to equal, this is 7.5 units. You can just count them from 25 to 32.5 is 7.5 units over, this is 1.5 units. This is 1 unit and another half unit. So this is 7.5 over 1.5. If you go through some arithmetic, you're going to see that 7.5 is 5 times greater than 1.5. Actually, 5 times 1.5, 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 5 tenths is 2 5/10. 5 plus 2 5/10 is 7 5/10. But using fractions, and I always like to use fractions because in fact they are easier to work with than decimals. True, you could just use a calculator and do this division and get 5. But you really want to learn the number sense. You really want to get an idea of how to work with these numbers. So 7.5 is the same as 15 halves. 1.5 is the same as 3 halves. So 15 halves divided by 3 halves. 15 halves divided by 3 halves is the same as 15 halves times 2/3. You're using the inverse operation, multiplication, and you're using the multiplicative inverse of 3/2, which is 2/3. Multiplying these together, 5 times 3 times 2 is 15 times 2, and 3 times 2 is the 6 right there. 3 times 2 is 6. These cancel. This 3 and that 3 cancel. This 2 and that 2 cancel. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And so you get an answer of 5. This is actually 30, by the way, and this is 6. 30 divided by 6, 2 times 15. 30 divided by 2 times 3 is 6. 30 divided by 6 is, of course, is also 5. So the left side of the equation is y minus 25 over x minus 3 is equal to 5. And what that says is that this y minus 25 is 5 times greater than x minus 3. Because when you divide, you get an answer of 5. So that means that this denominator can go into this numerator 5 times. It's 5 times greater than this numerator, y minus 25, is 5 times greater than this denominator, x minus 3. So now you can just write that out. Y minus 25 is equal to, or is, 5 times greater than x minus 3. Well, you also have to subtract the 25. You have to add this 25 back. If you subtract 25, you have to add this 25 back. But first, you want to use the distributive property to get the x's by themselves and get just the whole numbers by themselves. So if you have 5 groups of x minus 3, that means that you have 5 x's, and 5 times, if you take away 3 5 times, that is equal to subtracting 15. So this is 5x minus 15, still equal to y minus 25. But now if you subtracted the 25, you have to add the 25 back. So you add the 25 back, but at the same time you have to subtract this 15. So add 25, but at the same time subtract the 15. 25 minus 15 is this 10 right here. So you get y equals 5x plus 10, which is the same equation, y equals 5x plus 10. And that's the whole idea, the whole reason of doing this. Whatever you choose, wherever you choose the slope triangle along this line, you will end up with this same equation. It does not matter. So it's a good idea to try different slope triangles and ensure that you do get the same equation. It helps with the manipulating the math symbols, moving them around, and understanding what's going on. All right, let's get back to the story. So Diego puts money in a piggy bank. He has $10 to begin with. So this is the number, 10 quarters to begin with. This axis is the number of quarters. It's the money in terms of number of quarters. So in his bank, they don't tell you. Each week he adds some amount of money to his bank. The slope is 5. There's only one slope for each graph. There's 6 different slopes and 6 different stories. So the slope goes with the graph, goes with the story. So if you can match the slope of the story with the slope of the graph, then those are the matching parts. So the slope is 5. So if the slope is 5, which it is, for this graph it crosses the vertical axis at 10. So what is that? So each week he adds the same amount of money each week, and he adds 5 of these units, whatever they are. And I just chose them to be 5 quarters. Could have been 5 dimes, that would be 50 cents a week, not very much. Could have been $5. That would be, it could have been, $5. That would be $5 a week, which is a little bit too much, I thought. So let's call it 5 quarters, which is $1.25 each week. But he begins with 10 quarters, so that's $2.50, and then he adds 5 quarters each week. So that's $1.50. So adds 5 more quarters, $1.50. Adds 5 more quarters, $1.50. So each week he adds 5 quarters. Here's the equation once again. So the slope is 5, begins at 10. So this vertical intercept means that he started with 10 quarters in his piggy bank. Adds 5 quarters each week, which equals $1.25. All right, so one example. At 7 weeks, he has how many quarters? At 7 weeks, y is equal to 5 times 7, which is 35. So he adds 35. He adds 35 quarters, and he started with 10 quarters. So he has a total of 45 quarters. So he adds 35 quarters in 7 weeks. He started with 10 quarters. So 35 quarters divided by 4. How much money is that? 32 divided by 4 is $8. And then 3 quarters is 75 cents. So he added $8.75. He started with $2.50. Add those together, he has a total of $11.25 after 7 weeks. So for his weekly amount, he added $8.75, which is 5 quarters a week, but he also started with his $2.50. So to get him up to $11.25. A little bit convoluted, a little bit, this is the work. It's working through these situations and trying to explain them to yourselves as best you can. All right, the next problem. This is the graph. All right, so again, I moved the slope triangle all the way over to the y-axis. So that means I just went out 1 unit. So this is the unit rate. The last problem was each week. I don't know what this is in this case, but each of these units, whatever they are from the story, there's an increase of 10. So you go out 1 unit, and you go up from 40 to 50, you go up 10 units. That's the slope. For each unit, you increase 10 units. So the 10 to 1 is the slope, 10. So what's the equation? You have to subtract this 40 from the y value. So y minus 40, and again, this is just x. It's just 1 unit in this case, but it's the length is the length in the horizontal direction is just x. You don't have to subtract anything. You're already at the y-axis. This is y minus 40 over x is equal to the slope, which is equal to 10 over 1, which is equal to 10. So what that tells you is that this y minus 40 is 10 times greater than that x. So this y minus 40 right here is 10 times greater than that x. So if you just write that, y minus 40 is equal to 10 times x, or is 10 times greater than x. And remember, if you subtracted the 40 here, you have to add that 40 back. So y is equal to 10 times greater than x plus 40. So each unit is 10 times greater than x, but you also have to add this 40 to begin with, because you have a head start of 40, whatever these things are. All right, so the story, let's figure out what those things are. Lynn's dad bought a tablet, and then he has a streaming service that he pays $10 a month for that service. So that's the slope. Every month his cost is going to increase $10. So the cost is the service, the monthly service, plus the cost of the tablet. So this is the only one with a slope of 10. It crosses the vertical axis at 40. So what's that 40? That's the cost of the tablet. That's the head start in his costs. He hasn't even gotten any service yet, but he bought the tablet, so he spent $40, and now he has to add the cost of the service to that. So this is, using this equation, is $10 each week, or each month, so that's the slope, plus this $40 to begin with, so it's plus that 40. So he begins at a cost of 40, and he adds $10 per month for the service. Okay, one example. After 7 weeks, once again, Each month he spends $10. After 7 weeks, that's going to be $70. So how do you get up to 110? Well, you have to add the $40 of the tablet to start with. So right here, from here to here, that's the $70. But then you have to add this $40 to get up to 110. So it's 10 units. Monthly cost is 10 times the number of months. So each month is $10. So the total cost is, the monthly cost is $10 for each month. He spent $110 after 7 months. That means that that's $70 plus the $40 for the cost of the tablet. So you get up to $110. All right, the next one. The graph is the slope of this graph. So you move this all the way over to the y-axis. This is x equals 2 units because it was a little bit tough to deal with x equals 1 units because it was right in the middle here. You could probably figure out that that's 55, but it's easier if you go to where the grid lines intersect. So go out to 2 units and go up to here. So this is just an easier number to make sure that you're using the right value for y, which is 70 in this case. All right, so what's the length along the vertical axis? It's 30 units. From 40 to 70 is 30 units. And along the x-axis, it's now going out 2 units, not 1, but 2 units. But you don't have to subtract anything from x because you're right at the y-axis. So x equals 2. So this is 30 and this is 2. So that ratio, that relationship is 30 over 2, which is the same as 50 over 1. So that gives you a slope of 15. So each unit, we don't know what those are yet, but in each unit there's an increase of 15 units along the vertical axis. That means that the value in the vertical direction is 15 times the value in the horizontal direction. So this is 15 times 1 is 15. This is 15 times 2 is 30. So this length along the vertical axis is 15 times the length along the number of units along the vertical axis is 15 times the number of units along the x-axis. All right, so the y's and the x's, the left side of the equation. So it's y minus 40. You have to subtract this 40 over x. So y minus 40 is 15 times the number of units of x, or it's 15 times x. So y minus 40 equals 15 times x. So y, if you subtracted that 40, you have to add that 40 back. So y is equal to 15x plus 40. So that's the equation. So the story, there's only one story that has a slope of 15. It's this story right here. And Noah is collecting money in his piggy bank. The vertical axis is the total money earned. So that means that he started off with $40 in his bank before he started keeping track of that. So this is plus 40, so he started off with $40, and each month he added $15 to his bank. So in 1 month he had $15 plus 40, that's $55. In 2 months he had $30, 2 times 15 is $30, plus this 40 gets him up to $70. So for the first job, Noah earned $40, and then he earned $15 each month thereafter. All right, so one example. After 7 months, how much money does he have? Well, he has $15 for each month. So 7 times 15. 7 times 15 is right here. 7 times 15 is $105. $70 plus $35 is $105. But then remember, you have to add, or he has to add, that $40 that he started with. So $105 plus $40 gets him up to $145. So for the 7 months, he earns $105. After 7 months, Noah earned $140, $40 for the first job, and 7 times $15 for the 7 months thereafter. So for every month he earns $15, but he starts off with that $40. The next graph has a slope of 40. Without going through everything, 1 unit, 40 units. This is both the y and the x values. Both the this slope triangle, is against both the y-axis and the x-axis. So this is just y over x. You don't have to subtract anything. So this is a proportional relationship. So y over x is equal to 40 over 1. So if the x value doubles to 2, the y value is going to double to 80. If x doubles to, or triples to 3, y is going to triple to 120. So whatever you multiply x by, you're going to multiply y by the same thing. That's a proportional relationship. So y is equal to 40 times the value of x. So y is equal to 40 times the value of x. And that's called the constant of proportionality. Y equals kx. So the equation is y equals 40x. Y is equal to 40 times the value of x. Remember that the slope triangle started at 0, 0 over here. So the story, Lynn's mom pays the same amount each month for her internet service. She didn't pay anything for the tablet, or she's not at least including that in the cost. And so each month her service goes up $40. So the cost in dollars is 40 times the number of months, because each month she pays $40. So there's no service fee or no cost of the tablet. It starts at 0, 0, and it increases $40 each month. So after 5 months, that's 5 times that $40. Well, 5 times 40 gets you up to $200. After 5 months, Lynn's mom pays 5 times $40, or $200. So it crosses the y-axis at 0, 0, meaning it's just the cost of the service. There's no additional cost, no additional fees. The next graph, I zoomed in. So this is the same. This is x equals 1 right here. And I zoomed in. This is x equals 1 right here. Because after 1 unit, the y value is 25 cents, or 1/4 of a unit. After 2, it's 1/2, or 2/4. After 3, it's going to be 3/4. After 4, it's going to be 4/4. So whatever this unit is, the y value increases by 1/4 of that unit. It also begins at 0, 0. That means it's a proportional relationship. So if you double x, you're going to double y. If you multiply x times 4, you're going to multiply y times 4. And 4 times 1/4 certainly is 1. Proportional relationship starts at 0, 0. That means the equation is going to be y equals kx. Y over x is equal to 1/4. That means that y is 1/4 the value of x. So this y right here, this number of units of y, is 1/4 the number of units of x. So the number of units of y, which is right here, is 1. That's 1/4 the number of units of x, which is 4. Well, 1/4 of 4 is 1. Okay, the story, Elena adds a quarter to her piggy bank every day. But notice the y-axis is labeled as money in dollars. That's why this is 1/4. So 1/4 is 1/4 of a dollar. So every day she adds 25 cents. So you have to change it from the number of quarters to the amount in dollars. So 2 days is 50 cents, 3 days 75 cents, 4 days is $1, 8 days is $2, 12 days it's going to be $3. So 3 times it's tripling, sorry. The 4 times 3 is 12. 3 times 1 is $3. All right, so she started her piggy bank. It was empty. Goes through 0, 0. There's no money in her piggy bank, so it's empty. She adds 1/4 each day. After a certain number of days, how much money does she have? Well, after 8 days, she has 8 times 1/4. So that's 25 cents a day, or 1/4 of $1 a day. 8 times 1/4 is actually 2. So she has $2 after 8 days. So it goes out 8 days, goes up to this line, goes over, and you're at $2. No head start. The piggy bank was empty when she started. And the last graph, when x is 1, y is equal to 4. This is a little bit hard to see here. So I went out to 5. I wanted to go out to a place where these grid lines cross so I could be sure of the number. So if I go out to 5 units, whatever x is, I went out to 5 of those units, and it goes up to this line. It crosses at a grid line. So you just follow this grid line over to the y value, and that's 20. So whatever this is, when x equals 5, y is equal to 20. So what that tells you is that the slope is 20 divided by 5, or 20 over 5. 20 divided by 5 is equal to 4. So y is 4 times the value of x. So y right here is 4, and that's 4 times this value of x. So this y, which is 4 units, is 4 times x. Because 20 divided by 5 is 4, because 20 is 4 times 5. It's 4 times the value of x. This is a proportional relationship because it goes through 0, 0. So if you double the x value, so if you go from 1 to 2, this is going to go to 8. If you triple it, 1 to 3, this is going to go to 12. If you multiply it by 4, 1 to 4, this is going to go to 16. And if you multiply it by 5, 1 to 5, this is going to go to 5 times 4 is, or 4 times 5 is 20. That is the constant of proportionality, 4. So you multiply every y value, every x value by 4 to get the amount of y. All right, the story, the graph represents the perimeter, the perimeter of a square. So the perimeter of a square, the distance around a square, is 4 times larger than the length of the side. So the perimeter increases by 4 times for each increase in the length of the side. So the length of the perimeter is proportional to the length of the side. So if you double the length of the side, you're going to double the length of the perimeter. So if the perimeter was 4, you double it, it's going to go to 8. And also it starts at 0, 0. If you don't have any length of side, then you have no perimeter. It's 0. All right, the length of the perimeter of a square is proportional to the length of the side, and it's 4 times greater. That's the slope. So one example, if the length of the side is 8 units, so you go out 8 units, what's the perimeter? Well, it's 4 times that 8 units. So you go up to this line, 4 times 8, you go over here, and that's equal to 32. It's in between 30 and 35, and just do the calculation. 4 times 8 is 32. So if the length of the side is 8 units, then the perimeter equals 4 times that 8 units, or 32 units all the way around. All right, this is activity